I used to believe sleepovers were supposed to feel safe. My mom always said the same thing whenever she dropped me off with an overnight bag on my shoulder. You'll be fine. There are adults there. You're not alone. And when you're a kid, that logic works. When a house is full of voices and laughter, when lights glow through the windows, it feels like danger can't cross that threshold. Like fear needs darkness and silence to exist. I learned the hard way that fear doesn't care how many people are nearby. This happened last fall, right when the seasons were changing. Except winter decided to arrive early. October never plays fair around here. One day the air smells like wet leaves and chimney smoke. The next there's snow clinging to the roads like it's been there forever. That night was the first snowfall of the year. Not enough to shut things down, but enough to make everyone uneasy. I'd been doing food delivery for about 3 years at that point. It wasn't glamorous, but it paid the bills, and I actually liked driving. Night deliveries were my favorite. Fewer cars, fewer people, just the low hum of the engine and the glow of streetlights passing by. That night, orders kept rolling in non-stop. By the time my dashboard clock read 12:47 a.m., I was wiped. My shoulders ached, my eyes burned, and the snow had started to stick, turning the roads slick. I told myself I'd take one last order. That was my first mistake. The pickup was a McDonald's on the edge of town, the kind that stays open late for truckers and night shift workers. The drive-through lights buzzed softly as snow drifted sideways through their glow. The order was small, barely worth the drive, but I didn't check the drop-off location before accepting. That was mistake number 2. As soon as I pulled out and set the GPS, my stomach tightened. The address wasn't just far, it was wrong direction far, the opposite side of where I lived. Back roads, trees, roads people only take if they know exactly where they're going. You're an idiot, I muttered, tapping the steering wheel as I kept driving. The plows hadn't come through yet. Fresh snow covered everything, muting the world in that eerie way that makes it feel abandoned. My SUV handled fine, but the farther I drove, the fewer streetlights I saw. Eventually, even the town itself seemed to vanish. No houses, no businesses, just trees and long, forgotten stretches of road. I checked the map again. Yep, I said out loud, trying to steady myself. This is it. The turnoff was easy to miss, a narrow side road, swallowed by trees on both sides. Their branches sagged under the snow. No sidewalk, no shoulder, just blacktop cutting straight through the forest. I slowed to a crawl. Sliding off here would mean no cell service, no help, and a very long night. A few minutes in, I started passing driveways. Long ones. The kind that disappear into the woods, with faint porch lights glowing far back like distant stars. When I reached the address, it looked just like the others. Medium-sized house, old wood siding, snow piled on the roof and porch railing. No decorations, no visible cars. It felt empty. I parked, grabbed the food, and stepped out. The snow was deeper than I expected, soaking through my shoes almost instantly, creeping up my jeans. The cold bit at my face. Sharp and clean. As I walked up to the porch, something felt wrong. I can't explain it better than that. The silence was too complete. No wind, no animals, not even distant traffic. I knocked once and started setting the bag down. The door flew open. I jumped back. A large man stood there, wrapped in a heavy winter jacket. His face was pale, almost gray, like he'd just come in from the cold. His eyes locked onto mine immediately. "Hey," I said quickly, lifting the bag again. "Sorry, His expression shifted. Not anger, not confusion, disappointment. Without a word, he slammed the door shut. I stood there frozen, heart pounding. "Okay," I whispered to no one. I set the food down and turned back toward my car, boots crunching loudly in the snow. That's when I heard it. Movement from the side of the house. Not loud, not clear, just something. I glanced over my shoulder. Nothing. I walked faster. I reached my car, yanked the door open, and slid inside, hands shaking as I started the engine. I looked up. He was rounding the corner of the house, fast. He was holding something. At first, I thought it was rope. Then I noticed something tangled in it. Metal, faintly catching the porch light. My heart slammed so hard I thought I might black out. "Nope," I breathed. I threw the car into reverse. The tires spun, struggling for traction. He closed the distance, 10 feet, then 8. Come on, I hissed. Finally, the tires caught. The car lurched backward, sliding down the driveway. I didn't stop until I hit the road. Then I slammed it into drive and took off. In my rear-view mirror, I saw him stop, just standing there, watching. I didn't slow down until I reached the main road. I never reported it. I didn't know how. A guy felt wrong didn't seem like enough, but it stuck with me. I changed how I worked after that. No knocking, no waiting, drop and go. I thought that was the end of it. I was wrong. 2 days later, I was at a sleepover. My friend Riley had invited a few of us over. Nothing wild. Movies, junk food, staying up too late like we always did around Halloween. Her house sat on a quiet residential street. Chain link fences, bare trees, warm porch lights glowing against the cold. I felt safe. Around midnight, we were spread across the living room floor, half watching some dumb horror movie. "You good?" Riley asked, noticing how quiet I'd gotten. "Yeah," I lied. "Just tired." Later, I got up to throw away my leftover food. I walked into the kitchen, dropped it in the trash, and turned around. That's when I saw him. Someone was standing in the backyard, just standing there, facing the house, not moving. The porch light lit him just enough for me to recognize the shape of a winter jacket. The same pale face, the same stillness. I backed away from the window slowly. "Riley," I whispered. "What?" She laughed, eyes still on the TV. "There's someone outside." The laughter stopped. We turned off the lights, and the man didn't leave. He just stood there, waiting. I learned how to read a room long before I learned how to read people. My mom used to call it being too sensitive, but what she really meant was that I noticed what others ignored. The way voices dipped when certain names were mentioned. The smiles that never reached anyone's eyes, the kind of silence that felt heavier than shouting. By 17, that instinct had kept me out of more trouble than I could count. Creepy classmates, sketchy parties, rides that felt wrong at the last second. I trusted my gut. That's why what happened that summer still follows me. Because I felt it coming, and I went anyway. Ashwick Hollow was the kind of town you either escaped or got trapped in. My dad disappeared when I was 10. No argument, no goodbye. Just a note on the kitchen counter, and his truck gone by morning. My mom worked herself into exhaustion after that, which meant I learned early how to survive on my own. Music became the only place my mind ever felt quiet. Playing violin shut everything else out. When I got accepted into the Northfield Summer Conservatory, my mom cried, like I'd been handed a way out. I told her it was only for the summer. She smiled anyway. I didn't know then how close it would come to costing me my life. I met Briar Collins on the first day. She dropped into the seat beside me during orientation, legs propped on an empty chair, spinning a pen like she owned the place. You look terrified, she said. I hate icebreakers. She laughed. Same. Stick with me. I'll talk. She did. Briar had a confidence that felt borrowed, like she'd picked it up somewhere dangerous and never put it back. People gravitated toward her. Teachers liked her. Once she decided we were friends, she was fiercely protective. By the second week, we were inseparable. She slept over at my apartment once, though I could tell she hated the noise and the smell of fryer oil drifting up from the diner below. So when another invitation came along, she jumped at it. Hollis Gray joined late. She slid into class one Tuesday and barely spoke unless called on. Her voice was soft, practiced, like she'd learned not to draw attention. She watched Briar constantly, not jealous, more like studying her. At first I thought she was just shy. Then I noticed the bruises, faded yellow marks around her wrists, a dark shadow near her collarbone. She kept tugging her hoodie over. You okay? Briar asked her once. Yeah, Hollis said quickly. I'm clumsy. The way she said it made my stomach twist. The invitation came that Friday. Hollis waited until the room was nearly empty. My dad can drive, she said quietly, if you want to stay over. Briar turned to me instantly. Please, I hesitated. I didn't know why, nothing sounded wrong. Tonight, Hollis added. He gets off early. Something tightened in my chest. Still, I agreed. One night, I said. Then we're out. That decision still echoes in my head. Calder Gray arrived early. His SUV stopped too close to the curb, engine running as he stepped out. The chatter around us dipped, not silent, just uneasy. He was hard to look at for long. Pale skin stretched tight over his scalp, dotted with dark raised patches. His body looked assembled wrong. His eyes found mine first. They didn't blink. Well now, he said thickly. You must be her friends. Briar smiled. Thanks for driving us. He didn't smile back. Get in. Long ride. It wasn't, but it felt endless. The car smelled like old fabric and something sour. Calder kept adjusting the rearview mirror until his eyes lined up perfectly with mine. You girls stay up late, he muttered. Sometimes, Briar said carefully. He chuckled. Teenage girls always do. Then, quieter. You smell nice. Both of you. Hollis stared at her knees. I stare out the window. The house sat far from the road, swallowed by trees. No porch light. No neighbors close enough to matter. This is us, Hollis said, too fast. The moment the door locked behind us, I knew I wouldn't sleep that night. It wasn't dramatic, just metal sliding into place, and the way my chest tightened like I'd stepped into deep water. Shoes off, Hollis said. Dad hates dirt. Her voice cracked on the word dad. The house wasn't messy or abandoned. It was controlled. Too clean. Too still. Bare walls. Identical framed landscapes. No photos. No warmth. Girls' rooms upstairs, Calder said. I'll be down here. Don't wander. His eyes stayed on me. Hollis's room looked normal enough. We changed, played dumb games, laughed too loud until Hollis kept shushing us. He doesn't like noise, she whispered. Every time someone passed the door, she stiffened. I swore I saw an eye watching through the crack. I leaned toward Briar. Do you feel that? Yes, she whispered. Let's just survive the night. Hollis came back with 3 bottles. Mintate, she said, forcing a smile. Local. The caps were already open. Why aren't these sealed? I asked. Dad opens them, she said without meeting my eyes. Helps them breathe. Briar laughed nervously and drank hers. I took 1 sip. It tasted metallic. Wrong. I set it down. Briar slumped back. Wow. I'm exhausted. Hollis watched her like she was counting. I excused myself. The hallway was dark. except for the ticking grandfather clock downstairs. Then I heard it, crying, soft, broken, coming from above the attic. I felt breath on my neck. "Lost?" Calder whispered. I locked myself in the bathroom, shaking. When I came back, Briar was out recording. The crying came again, louder. I pulled down the attic ladder. 6 girls, tied, thin, wearing white dresses. "Please," one whispered, "help us." "Don't let him dress you," another sobbed. Slow clapping echoed behind me. "You weren't supposed to see this yet," Calder said. "Hollis helps me," he continued calmly. "Good girl." Hollis stepped forward, empty-eyed. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "He said you'd be happier." I ran. I smashed through the window, pain ripping through my leg, and ran barefoot into the dark. I didn't stop until a truck pulled over and someone called the police. The house was empty when they arrived. No Calder, no Hollis, no Briar. Just tapes, dozens of them. Girls who never left. It's been 3 years. No arrests, no bodies. Sometimes I still smell Mentate. Sometimes I hear breathing behind me. I didn't leave that house alone. Something followed me out. I remember the scent of freshly cut grass mixed with hot asphalt more vividly than anything else from that day. It was one of those late May Fridays where school felt optional, almost imaginary. Teachers were already drifting towards summer, and so were we. I was 12, all elbows and impatience, convinced that weekends mattered more than anything else in the world. The moment I got home, my backpack hit the floor and my phone was in my hand. I texted my cousin before my shoes were even off. His real name isn't Cole. I'll call him Ryland. We were the same age, born months apart, close enough that family gatherings blurred into everyday life. He lived 10 minutes away in a quiet neighborhood where every house looked different but followed the same unspoken rules. Neat lawns, bikes abandoned in driveways, porch lights clicking on as dusk settled in. Ryland and I grew up side by side. Same elementary school, same dumb jokes, same instinct to stick together when something felt wrong. We weren't inseparable, but when we were together, things felt steadier, safer. That Friday, there were no plans, no movies, no rented games, just the shared thrill of not having to wake up early the next day. Around 5, my mom dropped me off at his place. His house was a single-story ranch with faded tan siding and a big family room that smelled like old carpet and lemon cleaner. His older brother Jace was home too. He was 15, taller, quieter, and permanently unimpressed by everything we did. Not bossy, not protective, just present. We ordered pizza, sprawled on the floor, argued over the console. Everything felt normal. Then my mom called. I saw Ryland watching my face as I answered, probably noticing the shift before I said anything. "It's Grandpa," she said. Her voice wasn't panicked, but it wasn't casual either. He was at the hospital, just overnight, just observation. Both sets of parents were heading there. No need for us to come. No need to worry. Jace would be in charge. "Stay the night. Lock the doors. Don't open them for anyone." I promised. When I hung up, Ryland grinned. An unplanned sleepover. That should have been the end of it. Just another forgettable night. But some moments split quietly, without warning. A normal day becomes a line you never fully cross back over. The knock was the first crack. It was around 9. The sun was gone, but the sky still held a dull blue glow. The TV was loud. Pizza boxes were stacked in the kitchen. Jace was grabbing a soda when 3 firm knocks hit the door. Not aggressive, not friendly. Ryland stood up, I'll get it." I followed, staying just behind him. Two men stood on the porch. Adults, late 30s, maybe early 40s. Dark jackets. One wore a baseball cap pulled low. The other had a thick mustache and eyes that looked exhausted. "Evening," the mustached one said. "City services. We've had reports of water pressure issues around here." Ryland blinked. My parents aren't home." The men exchanged a glance. "That's fine," the man in the cap said smoothly. "Just checking if you noticed anything. Noise in the pipes, low pressure." Ryland hesitated. I could see it. He didn't want to say the wrong thing. "I think it's fine." That's when Jace stepped in beside him. Calm, controlled. "Everything's working. Parents aren't available. You can check with the neighbors." The mustached man smiled, but his eyes stayed flat. "All right," he said slowly. "Have a good night." They left. The door closed. The lock clicked. We stood there longer than necessary. "That was weird," I said. Jace shrugged. "Probably nothing." And we believed him. Or pretended to. The night settled again. Teeth brushed. Pajamas on. A sleeping bag on the floor, so we could all stay in the same room. We talked until the words ran out. I don't know how long I slept before fear woke me up. It didn't announce itself. It just nudged me awake with a feeling I couldn't explain. I stared at the ceiling, listening. At first, I thought I imagined it. A soft sound, like fabric brushing against wood. Then again, footsteps. Not near the bedroom, farther away, in the family room. My heart started racing before my brain caught up. A drawer slid open. I whispered Ryland's name. He woke instantly. Jace followed, confusion fading as he saw our faces. We crept down the hallway. Every step felt wrong. The family room light was on. They were there. The same two men. One was digging through the entertainment cabinet. The other turned toward us and smiled. Then, he pulled out a knife. I don't remember thinking. I remember running. Jace shouted. Ryland grabbed my arm. We sprinted for the door. The handle stuck for half a second that felt like a lifetime. Then it opened. We spilled onto the lawn barefoot, screaming. A police car drove by. I don't know how. I don't know why. I just know we waved like our lives depended on it. Because they did. The men were arrested. A laundry room window was broken. They knew we were alone. The officer said we were lucky. I didn't feel lucky. I felt hollow. Years passed. Life moved on. But something stayed with me. Something quiet and permanent. I started noticing doors, windows, shadows. And years later, when strange things happened again, a figure in the woods, footsteps circling my camp, a man opening my window, a stranger staring at my house, I recognized the feeling instantly. That quiet shift. That voice that says, "This isn't normal. Pay attention." I've learned something since then. Monsters don't always roar. Sometimes they knock politely. Sometimes they smile and say they're from the city. Sometimes they wait for you to be tired, or alone, or asleep. And sometimes you survive not because you're stronger, but because you listened. I still lock my doors. I still watch the shadows. I still trust my gut, because sometimes the danger doesn't announce itself. Sometimes it just knocks.